Have you ever had the wrong idea about someone? Everyone at Roosevelt High warned me about Ms. Peterson, the calculus teacher who failed half her students every year. She's absolutely ruthless, they whispered. Made 3 kids transfer schools last semester alone. The horror stories were everywhere. How she'd rip up homework in front of the entire class. How she never curved tests even when every single student bombed. How she'd been teaching for 30 brutal years and genuinely seemed to hate teenagers. I desperately needed calculus to get into MIT. No other teacher available, no other time slot that worked. First day of class, she lived up to every single nightmare story. Ice cold death stare, impossible pop quiz on day 1, absolutely zero tolerance for any questions. When I got my first major test back with a devastating 47% and saw her brutal red marks covering every single page, I wanted to transfer out immediately, but she had written one confusing thing that stopped me cold. See me after school today. I spent the entire day absolutely dreading that meeting. When I finally dragged myself to room 237 at 3:15, her classroom door was slightly cracked open. I heard Ms. Peterson on the phone, but her voice sounded completely different somehow. I know, sweetie. Mommy misses you so much too. Did you remember to take all your medicine today like we talked about? I knocked hesitantly. She quickly hung up and her face immediately went ice cold again. Sit down right now, Marcus. That's when I first noticed her desk setup. Hidden carefully behind her computer monitor were literally dozens of photographs. A little boy, maybe 8 years old, with the most incredible smile I'd ever seen. Wheelchair photos, hospital bed pictures, even one with a tiny graduation cap. That's my son Danny, she said quietly, catching me staring at them. He has muscular dystrophy, terminal. She pulled out my failed test with those red marks. You failed this because you're completely lazy. You think just being naturally smart is somehow enough. Her voice was still harsh, but I noticed her hands were shaking slightly now. Danny studies for 4 solid hours every single night just to barely stay in regular education classes. He'll never walk normally, never run around, never get to be careless about absolutely anything in his entire life. And here you are, completely wasting your perfectly healthy brain. For the next 2 grueling months, she absolutely destroyed me academically. Made me redo every single problem until it was absolutely perfect. No shortcuts allowed, no excuses accepted ever. But very slowly, something finally clicked into place. One random day after school, I saw her in the faculty parking lot carefully lifting a small wheelchair into her beat-up minivan. A boy with Danny's exact same incredible smile was already buckled into the front passenger seat, waving enthusiastically. Hey mom, is that your famous calculus student? He asked excitedly, waving directly at me. Yeah buddy, that's Marcus we talk about. Tell him I said good luck on MIT applications. She saw me watching this whole interaction. He follows all my students' progress religiously, actually cheers out loud when they succeed at anything. Her voice cracked slightly for the first time ever. Why are you so incredibly hard on all of us? I finally asked. Because the real world will be infinitely harder than I could ever be. And also because Danny would literally give anything to have your exact chances. On college acceptance day, I got into MIT with early admission. I immediately ran to tell her first before anyone else. She simply nodded once and said, "Don't you dare waste it." But when I left her classroom, I heard her on the phone again. Danny, guess what incredible news? Marcus got into MIT. Your mom's student actually made it, baby. 6 months later, during my freshman year at MIT, I got a text from a completely unknown number. Danny passed away yesterday morning peacefully. He was so incredibly proud of all his students right until the end. The funeral service is this Saturday if you'd like to come. I had never seen Ms. Peterson cry before that heartbreaking day. The hardest teachers love the hardest.